Singapore is a multiracial, multi-religious city-state that drew much of its citizenry from near and far over 2 centuries to be what it is today. Diverse, varied, but still unified by a common spirit, the Indian Muslims have played some key roles and contributed to the society. They became an integral part of Singapore's landscape, notably in commerce, journalism, language, law and order, religion, philanthropy, sport and the arts. This is a story of a small community of many languages, multiple identities and a shared aspiration as Singaporeans. This is the story of Singapore's Indian Muslims.
My father was a trader, but I've never been one. But although deep inside me, I wish I could be also a businessman one day. But if not me, maybe my children.
South Indian Muslims are largely enterprising people. Your ottukades, you have eating shops, even your paratha shop is rather unique. Not the North Indian paratha, but a South Indian one. So as far as the Tamil Muslim community goes, you are enterprising people. Even the ottukade, he knew what your customers wanted. How he stocked his ottukade with the things that people would buy is amazing. Most of them were not educated, but they knew what their customers wanted. And they always maintain a good stock. There's a typical character of what you'll find. You'll find hair oil there, you'll find shaving blade there, you'll find little tidbits there, all kind. But somehow they seem to know what the customer wanted.
Muslim women have always been very entrepreneurial. Back during the days of the Prophet till now, they've always performed well in businesses.
A lot of Indian Muslims were also doing money changing. Money changing in the early days was not controlled. Anyone could do money changing. And because Clifford being very close to Raffles Place and Chulia Street, I think that was the key reason why Indian Muslims were involved in money changing, because a lot of passengers or tourists were coming in from Malaysia and Indonesia and surrounding islands. So that was the very core reason why Indian Muslims were doing money changing.
Money changing is largely in the hands of Tamil Muslims. And now even women have come into the picture, which they never did before. So that shows another sense of the enterprise.
The women then take on the responsibility of educating their children, and also many times they also take on the responsibility of looking after their family businesses. Because Indian Muslim families back in India, they have traditional family businesses. A lot of them were involved in farming. A lot of South Indians were also involved in fishing. The women may not be directly involved in farming or fishing, but they would be the ones employing people to run the business for them. So they've always been entrepreneurial.
my grandfather was the one who started a perfume shop in this area a long time ago. This was not the only area. Then he started a perfume shop. My grandfather had a shop in Johor. At one point, he had shops in Madras, India. I think even at a shop in Trivandrum, if I'm not mistaken. So he liked to travel. You know, he was a businessman. He liked the craft of it. He also traveled the world in the 40s and the 50s and even beyond that. You know, he went to a lot of our suppliers. He went to Portugal to get cork for the perfume bottles. He went to Grasse, which is the perfume capital of the world. If you know, other than the Middle East or India, it's the French are famous for the perfumes. Yeah. So he traveled the world. You know, I think he passed away in 1979.
இது வந்து அரப் ஸ்ட்ரீட் ஏரியா, கம்பங்கலம் ஏரியா. இங்கே இருக்கிறவங்க எல்லாம் முக்கால்வாசி வந்து நம்ம தமிழ்நாட்டிலேருந்து தஞ்சாவூர் டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்லேருந்து வந்தவங்க. இங்கே அவங்களுக்கு என்ன வியாபாரம்னாக்கா டெக்ஸ்டைல்ஸு, ஸ்பைசஸ்ஸு, இதே மாதிரி வாசனை திரவியங்கள் மாதிரி வாசனை திரவியம், ரெஸ்டாரண்ட் வியாபாரங்கள்லாம் இருந்துச்சு. இதில் வந்து பிரபல பழைய கடைகள் என்றால் ஸ்பைசஸில் வந்து ரஹிமான் ஷா அப்படின்னு ஒரு கடை ஒன்று இருந்துச்சு. அது பழைய காலத்து கடை, 1916 உள்ள கடை. கலிமா ஸ்டோரு, மறுபடி கானாமூனா அப்துல் அஜீஸு, வலி முகமது, இந்த ஏரியாவில் இவங்கெல்லாம் வந்து நம்ம தமிழ்நாட்டை சேர்ந்தவங்க. இந்த சாப்பாட்டு தொழிலில் பார்க்க போனாக்கா இஸ்லாமிக் ரெஸ்டாரண்ட்டு, ஜுப்ளி ரெஸ்டாரண்ட்டு இவங்கெல்லாம் வந்தவங்க.
I think I started Sci-Fi Aromatics about 6-7 years ago. This is while I was still working with my father and Jamal Kazura. I thought there was an opportunity for another perfume brand, you know, that was from Singapore that used a lot of the resources of the old business, you know, like the business contacts, but still branding it differently and then reaching out to a new market.
Nana Women's வந்து நல்ல பெரிய வியாபாரம் சிங்கப்பூரில். அவங்க தான் மெயினான ஒரு மெடிக்கல் சப்ளை, எல்லா ஹாஸ்பிட்டலுக்கும் அவங்க தான் சப்ளை பண்ணுவாங்க.
When banks and other big players started to buy land and develop Raffles Place and Chula Estate, we were all asked to leave. Various companies received compensation when we were asked to leave, and we realized that once we were out of Raffles Place, we could no longer do the retail business that the company was doing for centuries. So we find that when we moved out of Raffles Place, we found that we have to go into a distribution and marketing idea, because we knew that if we are going to pay high rents and do retail business in the city and in other parts of Orchard Road or anywhere else, we could only do that if we were a public listed company. And as a private company, we knew that it would be difficult doing businesses in various outlets and future retail markets, because the rent would normally be very exorbitant.
Now you find a lot more Indian Muslim women in all sectors, be it the public sector, the private sector, the media, businesses. You can find women running big businesses such as real estate. Because of the empowerment now gained by social media, they also are able to run smaller entities like businesses from home, like wedding planning, selling clothes, cosmetics, food items. So it's very heartening to see Indian Muslim women taking ownership of themselves.
And the enterprising was so clear. You had Naina Mohammed, M.S. Ali, dealing with pharmaceuticals, all sorts of sophisticated medication. You had what you call others, you know, quite well-known, food catering and so on. Chulia Street, you had a lot of people who were indulging in stationery selling. Muhammad Dul Fakir was a bookseller in High Street. Oli Muhammad, jeweler in High Street. So all these are South Indian Muslims. Now you have Jalil, very successful and very much engage in community work. So like that, you could find a lot of them.